Welcome to the next episode of the Dragon's Den podcast. Today we did something quite different. This is a collection of 12 or 13 clips from a bunch of different guys from around the fire service answering the same question at the Small Town Jobtown Conference. What, in your opinion, is the value of outside training, and do you have a personal story in relation to that outside training? I've already released all of the individual episodes on YouTube, but decided to put them all together into one long podcast episode. I can talk till I'm blue in the face about outside training, but maybe hearing it from these different ranks and the different people within the fire service might help push someone to attend anything that's not related to their own department. I hope you find value in it. Thanks for listening.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming into this little project and coming into the program. I have you introduce yourselves. We're here with
Ronald Lowe
and
Greg Ferguson.
All right, gentlemen, I met you over here at Small Town Jobtown. The thing that intrigues me about both of you guys is I didn't know this, but the time that y'all have on the job, we got 38 years and 25 years, and you guys drove 15 hours to a small conference, a reasonably small conference, in order to get outside training. That is rare. That's reasonably rare to have guys that have that much time on the job that are still trying to get better and learn more and see, like, what am I missing in order to be better. So I wanted to bring y'all on, and thankfully y'all did come on, to basically give your mindset to answer the question that I've been asking 15 other people is, what is the value to you? We'll start with you, Ron, on what is your value? What's the value to you for getting outside of the bubble of your department and seeking outside training?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So for me, it all boils down to you not accepting or not being closed-minded to the fact that the only thing you can learn is what you have in your organization, right? So very large organization, 51 stations, 1,700 guys, giant, big wheel. Yeah, we have a lot to offer, have a lot to be thankful for. However, that doesn't mean that two-station fire department isn't doing something different you can take back home to your 1,700-man department. And for me, that's what brings me here. That's why I want to come here. You have something to give me, and vice versa, right? We can all learn and share these things. So for me, that's it. There wasn't in my career like one moment. To me, when I started, the learning started then. And when I walk out the door that last day, that's when it'll stop in this area, right? There's going to be something after that. But yeah, it for me, it was a continuum. Like it started day one and it's going to end day whatever that day is, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here, because everyone in this thing we call the fire department has something to offer.
That's excellent. And I actually want to dive a little bit deeper with you on a second, but we'll hop over. What you got? What's your view of getting outside of the bubble, and what is the value of outside training?
Been on, like you said, almost 25 years now. This guy has been a mentor my whole career. He actually taught me in my recruit class, damn quarter of a century ago.
Right.
And we're still sitting here at Louisiana Fire Conference. But so he has a little bit of a influence on individuals. But I got promoted to captain in 2013. I had a chief, and just like you guys just said in this conference, like we do in all of them, grab one guy and bring him to one and get him outside your bubble, right? So I had a chief that grabbed me and said, hey, you're going to be a captain soon. I wasn't promoted yet. We're going to FDIC. And I went to FDIC, and I was like, man, I got kids, I got a family. He's like, you're getting on a plane and we're going to FDIC. And on that one, I happened to book 2 classes. I didn't know what I was doing, but one was Eugene from Black Sunday, FDNY, the boys that jumped out of the windows. And that changed my whole perspective. Talking to somebody that went through a scenario that we all talked about, read about, NIOSH report, studied, and to have the individual play back that and tell his whole perspective, game changer. And on that trip also, I believe it was Dr. Griffin from Super Sofa Fire, right? Charleston. So there were hundreds of others that we saw, some good, some bad, but those 2 live in person changed me forever, and then ended up going back the next year. And I've tried to reach out and hit other conferences, but life gets in the way, busy. So I would highly recommend it, because as a new captain, having that kind of influence, and then getting back into training, getting with this guy and diving in deep, because I haven't stopped since. I don't think I'm going to be the same way.
Good.
Go until we die kind of thing.
Go until we die.
Yep.
I didn't ask anybody else this, but I wanted to touch on it with y'all, is that at some point, and I just have to ask, even though this is not the purpose that y'all started, I have to ask it. You started search culture where you started teaching. Well, and to understand, Justin McWilliams owns the popular search culture, but and y'all created y'all's own thing, and y'all reached out to him, and he was like, "No, man, you're good. It's not that big of a deal."
Yes.
But my point of that is to say, you wanted to start teaching a little bit. So I didn't ask anybody else this, but I wanted to just dabble on what motivated you to get out there and start delivering and like kind of changing it.
Sure. So that motivation is, if you're in this business and don't want to give back, probably in the wrong business. And here's why. Because it's not what you do today. And you're looking at this thing, hey, we did this today. That's cool, right? Whatever that is. I'm a captain on an engine company, and it's the best engine company in Palm Beach County. It is the one I'm on. That's my opinion. What's that engine company look like 10 years from now? Because if I can't look back on that engine company and go, we trained, we worked together, and I had something, just a little part, right, to do with that and changing the culture and the mindset that engine company has the ability to help the citizen when they need us. That's what it's all. So for me, training's everything. Like, it is everything. And this, what we're a part of the last 3 days, that's a part of that training. Like taking some of those little things, right? That guy from Lafayette, Louisiana, he does something I may not do, but we may need to do in Palm Beach County.
Right.
So that training for me, it means everything when it comes to our role in this big wheel we call the fire.
Essentially just giving back. That was the mission.
Yeah.
Greg?
He's humble, believe it or not. People that know or listen to this ain't going to go, no, he's humble. He taught the recruit class for decades. And you can imagine early 2000s to however long. And then it changed again, and then it changed again. So over his last 30 years, the search techniques and training was grab your ankle, 3 wide, right? No tools. And then it evolved. Well, data came out, right? And I think this man said, what is our culture when it comes to search? And over the last 25 years, it's varied. Training changed, everything changed. So he spent years, right?
It was
years. Documenting all that data, putting together a 3-day search class, bringing it to our department, and then convincing the department to do 1,700 firefighters through search culture. We ain't there yet.
Oh, we'll get there though.
But officer development academies, recruit academies, and people sign up. It's what we got, 400 and change.
400, yeah.
Third, but it's already taken off because those guys are now on the streets and changing the world. But it was a database thing, but now we're trying to get consistently what you guys were talking, and you specifically, it's the same message. It's data driven. We got to get in there, or else it's just body recovery. And the old way ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So big deal. And it's changed the culture of how we actually go to fires, with rescue being our number one priority, because he's humble. That's the truth. That's the truth.
It was a bunch of people.
It was a bunch of people. Yeah.
Am I lying? Am I lying?
You're not lying.
Gentlemen, I could honestly, this is all BS aside, I could talk to y'all for a long time. I told y'all that in there. I can sit down, especially when it comes to search. Like, we could probably go down a couple hours of rabbit holes on culture building and where I really, truthfully, offline or maybe back online, want to pick both of your brains to say, like, yeah, I look, I don't want to go down it because we're going to take way too long. And I'm chomping at the bit to go, yeah, let's do it anyway. But no, we're not. We're going to shut it down. Gentlemen, I'm so glad to have met y'all. I'm so glad that y'all are old in the job. I hate to say that, but y'all got some time. Y'all got some time in, and that y'all are out here still trying to get better. Yeah. Most guys at 38 years, you're like, look, we're clocking out. We're going to retirement. We are in coast mode. That's what you see a lot. But clearly, it's not for y'all.
No.
And that is so inspiring to be able to look at guys like you. I got 17 years, right? I got 38 is a long ways away to say, hey, don't quit, don't give up, don't stop. It's too important. So I thank both of y'all for number one joining me here, but also number two setting that example of just staying at the job, stay that forever student, because y'all are witness. I'm right here with you. Y'all living proof that that not only does it happen or can it happen, but it should be happening.
Absolutely.
So,
Sure.
gentlemen, thank you for your time. I appreciate y'all.
Oh man, I wanted to rabbit hole so hard.
You ready, man?
All right, so we have with us Brian Jackson. Brian, I've known you online. Welcome into the program. We only knew each other online. You tagged me. You caught me on Facebook. I've seen your profile picture 1,000 times. We met over here at Small Town, and you're like, hey man, and I told you, I was like, I got to be honest, man. I'm not recognizing you. And like, we haven't met. I was like, have we met before? You're like, no, not yet. So once again, I went back, looked back at the profile, like, oh, Brian. I'm bringing you in because you told me a story that, I had this little project going, and you told me a story about, Small Town and conferences and your passion for them. And I was like, well, man, you want to come in and talk? So the question that I've been asking everybody is, what is the value of getting outside of the bubble of your fire department, getting outside to conferences? What is the value to you personally?
Sure. So for me, obviously, extremely valuable to be outside of your department or even outside of your state as far as figuring out training. So the story that I explained to you, a little bit of backstory for me. I worked at a department previously, combination department. Most of the time riding one guy to a truck, right? So spend a lot of time working by yourself. That can take a toll on you, right? So I got to the point in my career where everybody was kind of dogging on me at times, making sure they knew that I understood that I was a negative person. Like, man, you're always negative. You're always complaining about stuff, whatever. And fact is that they were right. It took a lot for me to understand that, but it's what it is. So fast forward a little bit, changed departments, ended up in a much better place in my opinion, but not to dog on the other one, but
Sure.
and I got invited to the original Small Town Job Town conference, hosted by
Small Town Fools.
I think at the time it was just the city of Hammond.
Okay.
Chief Daniel Folks was speaking along with Chief Sam Sparacello.
Sure.
They both did a portion of the class, and at the time it was kind of funny because the topic to me, I still remember a lot of it, but the topic wasn't nearly as important as it's to which like their passion that they delivered the class. You know what I mean? And we talked a little bit about it, but
Sure.
man, you go to class, go to lunch, go back to class kind of situation. It was just a 1-day deal, and the drive home was like palpable. You know what I mean? Like the passion, the whole thing was just amazing. Like I told you, the drive home, everybody was like, "Man, I need a fire like right now."
Yeah.
And it was just an incredible feeling, and it made me realize that it was okay to be excited about the job. Like that was really good for me. And then fast forward some time, you start going to some other conferences and realize like, man, I didn't know that this other stuff was out there. I thought I was 10 years in, man. I'm doing things freaking awesome. Like I didn't even know I was screwing up so much.
Oh, I've been there.
But yeah, man, getting out of the state, getting out of your general area, everything has been incredible for me. So, and I caught Chief Sparacello and Chief Folks at Lyft one time, and I had to pull them aside and tell them, and and they had a massive impact on me, and I can't appreciate them anymore.
Yeah, we were kind of having that conversation, and you were not the first person to tell me that same story. That it was really especially Sam Sparacello, man. His class, I think I could listen to him read the phone book
Yeah.
and I'd probably pay attention to it because he's going to bring you some fire and passion. His comedic timing is so solid. But yeah, it's like I knew what the class was about, like generally, but that's the feeling that I got. Like I got the impact for me, just like you, was his passion for the job.
Yep,
was
you're absolutely right.
you could not, he couldn't fake that. There's
Nope.
nobody that's going to fake that. It was impressive. And I'm glad that you told me that story, because I asked you, did you have a moment? And you were like, yeah, it was Chief Sparacello's class before they even did it at Lyft. I was like, well, we're at Small Town Jobtown. Absolutely come in and tell me that story. It was almost too perfect. So,
and you know what? It's funny because I asked Sam the other day when he's going to teach his original small town class again. He was like, "Man, I don't know." I'm like, "Dude, you have to do it. Like, it doesn't matter what you're teaching. Like, you're so passionate about it. Like, people are hooked on it. You got to teach something." Man.
I know. I completely agree with you, and I've told him that 1,000 times, dude. You need to take that show on the road, man.
Yeah,
like
for real.
it's a good show.
Yeah.
So, Brian, I appreciate we're wrapping up the conference right here, or they're wrapping up the conference, and I appreciate you joining us to just kind of share your thoughts on it. Thank you, man.
Absolutely, bro.
All right. All right. So we are joined here by the top administration for the Broussard Fire Department. It's all of the 3 admin level chiefs. We got Chief Champagne, Chief Denias, and then Chief Mouton, with Chief Champagne being the actual fire chief. These gentlemen are important to my backstory, especially when it comes to outside training, because when these guys hired me on as a training coordinator, they forced me to go to a conference. Not that I was resistant to it, but they were like, "Hey," Chief Champagne said, "You're going to the CFT conference." And I'm not going down the path again, but it is very simply put that conference and the things that happened there changed my entire career path. So I wanted to bring these guys on because these guys have always been supportive of outside training, at least as long as I've known. And so they obviously feel that outside training brings value to the organization. So I wanted to bring these guys on and say, not only are you sending your guys, but y'all also are here at Small Town. And so y'all find value for yourselves in being able to kind of incorporate that into the department, that not only you're sending your lower guys and saying, "Hey, bring stuff back," but we're also going to show up and try to bring stuff back so we can better ourselves at an administrative level. So thank you guys for joining us. And I wanted to kind of start with you, Brian, and then we'll kind of move down the line. And what does outside training, what is the value of outside training and getting outside your bubble? What does that bring to your organization?
I think, I guess starting with the little backstory with how I think this became about. As a young fireman, I had many opportunities to attend the National Fire Academy. Back in the early 90s, there wasn't any conferences around. If you went to the Fire Academy, you went out of state and you went to the Fire Academy, there really wasn't anything else outside your department. People just got trained inside their department. So we had one of our colleagues, and he later became a chief, that went to the Fire Academy one year, came back. We were close with him and said how great it was, how great of experience. So I started going to the Fire Academy, and I probably went 10 or 12 times over a 10, 12-year period, literally every year going and furthering my education and then furthering my knowledge of, being outside the department, and always came back with a fresh mindset, just totally recharged. And as I grew in the department and the conferences started popping up, we as a group started traveling, whether it was Texas for FRI, FDIC. We found out about CFT, and then now Lyft and Small Town Jobtown. Pretty much anything that comes about that we feel like is going to be a benefit, we get out there and go. We invest the money in our people. I've seen countless success stories, as yours is, that people were on the verge of really not being a great employee, but I said, just send them to a conference. They came back totally recharged, totally different mindset, and now they're still with us, and they're successful because we sent them to outside and we invested that money into them, and they got outside the box, as I say. So I think overall, it weighs a lot on our department, and it's changed the culture because we keep sending people. We send different people, and as they come back, they're collaborating and saying, "We learned this. Well, we got this." So, as a chief, does it really matter if what hose package we have on the truck? For me, it's not, because I'm probably not going to pull the line as a chief. But if our people are all aboard about a certain package, run with it. Train everybody, get them up to speed. And usually that has been a success rate for us.
That's good stuff. What I want to know from you guys is that y'all are also supportive in what he's doing, because y'all are all consulting. For a while, y'all were in the same office. For a while, y'all were about thigh to thigh, is where how close y'all were, just about. Couldn't put 3 people in that first office. But I wanted y'all to talk about when, supporting that mission instead of like fighting, because what y'all could do is say it's too expensive to send those guys, because it is expensive to send guys out, costs a lot of money. But so getting together as the assistants and deputies, I want y'all to talk about supporting that, and also what have y'all seen. So Justin, I'll let you start, and then we'll go after move Tom after.
Thanks, Chris. Ultimately, for me, it's the fight as a group to ensure that we can continue to do it, because the benefit of sending our people there has shown to us, right? Bringing back that strategic knowledge, or even that operational knowledge, has changed the way we operate in the city. Broussard is one of the fastest growing areas in the city, or in the state of Louisiana. And ultimately, those guys going out there, it's benefited us because they can bring things back that will ultimately benefit our citizens and benefit our department as a whole. So anything we can do to continue that and continue to be a better organization and be, a better department and operationally improve, then it's worth every penny. So the cost of it is worth the fight, even if it takes us going to the council and asking for additional funding. And from my side, every time you end up in a conference like this, you see something that potentially can impact you personally, professionally, and the department as a whole, right? You may change something that you do independently that'll positively impact your department, or impact the way you treat your people on a scene, or anything of that nature. And that's been huge.
Yeah, I just saw that. We were just sitting through Chief Stone's class, and Shannon had said, "Hey, we use this particular accountability system." I was sitting behind you, and I watched you. You looked over at him, and you're like, "Hey, write that tax system down, because we want to go back and research that thing." So you guys are in there. Y'all are paying attention, and you're saying, "How can we better not only our department, help the guys out, and then ultimately that's going to serve the citizens?" So I literally just watched it. It's kind of cool.
But even when
go ahead,
Chief Stone said that most of our meetings are behind closed doors. So like he said, "Oh, what you think they're talking about? Or something's coming down the pipe? Are we in trouble?" So we just laughed about saying, "Oh, now all of our meetings need to be open door." That way, they all know that we work together as chief officers, but now it's not of, "Oh, it's behind closed doors," or, "Oh, they're having a secret meeting." It's, just being exposed to our guys. And we learned that from a conference. And that's huge.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, because he said like 98% of the time those doors kind of need to be open. It's got certain scenarios. I didn't know that y'all kind of looked at each other and like, "Hey, we need to be better about that."
Be better about it.
Yeah, be better. It makes you cognizant of something that maybe you didn't think was a big deal. And then you hear some of the best in the business going like, "Hey, to pay attention to this." You go, "Man, I got to rethink how we operate." So, excellent. Do you have any personal stories about you going to outside training that kind of woke you up, or changed, because you are a firefighter, you're back step in a different department. Yeah. So go ahead.
I've also been with Broussard long enough to know that Fire Academy was huge for us as far as the national, being there. I've always supported that program. Chief Champagne had years of going there and promoting that in our organization. Mm-hmm. We got to go to FDIC at one time. Our training budget was huge, so money wasn't a problem for us. And sending guys, the more our department grew, we had some, all field went down and money got tight. So we having these small conferences has been big for us. Now that our training budgets are getting bigger, sending more people, but I've been through the hard times of cutting back on budgets, but we've always made it a priority. And our biggest priority is sending new people. that come to our organizations that they're not fortunate, you know, the department might not send nobody, or and it's promoting that is investing in the young people.
Once any one of y'all can touch on this, but that's another thing I wanted to ask about as you select, man, sometimes you guys are sending 8, 10, 12 guys across the whole year. Maybe not to like, maybe over here, there might've been, maybe there's 6 over here today, but you know, you got 6 going over, but then you'll have like maybe a slightly different 6 that are going to CFT. What is y'all decision-making process like that for your new guys? Is it kind of the guys who show interest? Is it sometimes the guys who show potential and you want to kind of push, you want to see if you can push them? Any one of y'all can kind of speak on that.
Usually I try to rely on our training coordinator to give me a list of names. I don't always select those names. I usually look at the board of everybody and say, I think this person might do better going to this conference, or go ahead and send this person too. And he's like, oh, we don't have enough money, or that's a lot of people. So, I get a lot of slack sometimes for sending 12 people at a time or 10 people at a time, because it affects schedules. It affects a lot of things within our organization, but it's only for a 2 or 3 day period. And we come back, we have that much more knowledge in our department. So, everything, the negatives outweigh the positives outweigh the negatives. Sure. And it's a benefit in the long run. But because I do get slack about, it's a lot of people. It's okay. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna find the money, and we make it happen. And I think that's one of the things that has set our culture apart from other organizations, is that we've invested so much in our people that they want to come to work. They enjoy the job, and we've given them some life back into this job. So I think that's important, and it goes a long way within, not just with us, but within the fire service.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Justin.
I'll add one thing too.
Sure, go ahead.
One thing, a part of that selection process that we've seen is not only the people that show interest, the people that we potentially see interest in, right? Mm-hmm. If he sees something in someone that's, maybe they're not given 110%, but we know they got it in them, this may spark it. Sure. So identifying that person and saying, hey, this guy's on my list, see if he would want to go to this conference, just to give him that opportunity and to see what he brings back. He, her, doesn't matter, right?
Sure.
It's been very, very positive in that situation too, because they may come back with something that we wouldn't have expected out of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no, as far as even investing in our people, we're not closed-minded chiefs. Yep. Whenever they come back from a conference and they have something, we listen to them. Hey, as long as we get buy-in from the rest of the department or the rest of the guys, it's not a free fall, but we make sure that we have a standard behind it. We make sure it's done properly until, we train 2 or 3 weeks if we need to on one specific thing that they want to switch to, just so everybody's on the same page. And I think that we unique as far as using all of our resources. So we're going to send 8 people to a conference where we're not getting 8 hotel rooms. We're not taking 8 different vehicles. We're stacking 2 to a room, 4 to a truck, whether it's hot drills. I mean, we're very unique in that way, where we're just not sending one person to a conference and going to cost us, $1,000. So we're going to try to send 10 people, or have to make the money work.
Sure. And sometimes a person comes to me, they want to take a certain track or a class, and I sign them up for a whole different one. And they're like, I don't think I'm ready for that officer track. And they second guess themselves. I'm like, just go. Too young, just go. And they come back and say, man, that was a really good class. I got so much out of it. But had I not pushed them into an officer track or pushed them that way, they would have taken an engine track or a ladder track. That's something that they know, but the fear of the unknown is where you grow. So, I pushed them into those, whether it's CFT, hey, there's an officer development class I'm sending you to. I'm not ready for an officer development. I'm just a fireman. You are. You just don't know it yet. So we send them, and they come back with a whole different mindset and thanking us that we sent them to that class, because they argued with me for a week saying they wasn't ready for that class.
Excellent. Gentlemen, I'm gonna cut it there because I know we got to get back. I know the other Chief Stone, DJ Stone, is giving a great class right now. I also want to catch a piece of it. So I appreciate your time. I've told you many times off camera that I appreciate all three of you for giving me a shot at Broussard because it absolutely did change my career. Although I'm not there anymore, but I have a lot of respect for
Not yet.
Broussard. Not yet. I have a lot of
Did you let the listeners know that you kept us for a 3-hour interview? You know.
No,
Yeah.
I'm cutting all this out. You can talk all the shit you want. I'm editing it. I'm editing it all out anyway. It doesn't matter.
We love you, Molly. Thank you for this equipment.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely editing that out. All right, so I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're here with Kevin McCart. Kevin, you've been a firefighter with Missouri, and then you moved over to South Carolina, so you got some time there. Now you're working as a rep for Key Hose. You've been to a lot of trainings. You do a lot of trainings, popping all around the country. The question that I'm asking is, what do you think the value, in your own words, is for getting outside of the bubble of your own department and getting to these outside trainings, whether it be small fools trainings all the way up to FDIC? What's the value in that?
Thanks for having me, Chris. So the value in getting outside of the bubble, outside of your bubble, your own department is, remember that none of us are as smart as all of us. So what happens is you come on the job, you get into a fire department, and it could be a great fire department. Lots of good training, very progressive department, all those things. But if you're only expose yourself to the things that they expose you to, there's a whole nother world out there when it comes to firefighting tactics, training, skills, equipment, all those things that other departments are using, that if you don't get outside of your bubble and get outside of your state, get outside of your department and go to outside trainings, big or small, you're really missing out on opportunities to better yourself and better your department on multiple levels.
Yeah. Have you had an experience yourself where you yourself went to an outside training and there was kind of like oh man, I didn't even know that was a thing. I had this mindset and then I did this thing and it was like, whoa, there was a world on the other side. Have you had that personal experience?
Yeah, for me it was stretch and hose.
Okay.
The department that my first department, Antonia Fire, just outside of St. Louis, we were when I got on the job there, we were flat load. Then we went to triple layer or triple fold, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And then getting outside of my bubble and kind of exposing myself and trying to learn new things, I became exposed to like the Minuteman and different hose loads, different ways to stretch hose, the pluses and minuses to one load versus the other load.
Were you able to, once you found the Minuteman, were you able to kind of make some cultural change within the department, or did it kind of stay within the engine company?
So it kind of stayed triple. Weren't really able to make the change to the modified Minuteman, but it just it opened my eyes as a fireman that there's more out there than just what Antonia Fire exposed me to when I first got on the job. So
I love that. Even though you weren't able to make the full changeover for your department, it's still just the idea of, oh, there's something else, and if I miss this, what did I miss on potentially all kind of stuff, right? Flowing water or surge. You pick the topic.
100%. There's so not just skill wise and tactically, but personally, the networking that you can do at these events can pay dividends in your career. So leadership, there's all kinds of different leadership examples of getting outside and exposing yourself to other people and other departments and the way they do business. Some things will work for you, some things won't. But being able to just take one little tidbit of information you pick up from an outside training that you attend might make your company or your station or your department just a little bit better.
That's excellent. Kevin, I know you got to hit the road. I know y'all are fixing to pack up, but I do appreciate you taking these few seconds to kind of give me your thoughts, and I appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother.
All right. Appreciate it. You want to do?
I ain't going to go that long. No
Oh, man. Yeah, 30 minutes. That'd be a hell of a short answer.
Yeah.
All right. We're joined by Chief Shannon Stone. Chief is the fire chief out of Midway. And Chief, welcome back to the podcast once again. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
We we're trying to get shortish answers on single thoughts for what you believe the value of outside training is for a department. It could be a Fools Conference all the way up to FDIC, but the most important thing is, what is the value of getting outside of the bubble of your department?
That's a great question. For me personally, the value is enormous. I kind of shared two stories with you. The first one was probably close to 20 years ago when I started doing a lot of training locally with people that were not from our area. And that was the beginning of me not knowing what I didn't know. Started realizing some things we were doing not that good in my department, and learned a lot of new things. And that was the beginning. It's probably longer than 20 years ago. It's probably more like 25 years ago. But that was the beginning of a culture shift in my organization then, which was the city of Fort Walton Beach here in the Panhandle. The second part of that came probably 5 years after that, where I started traveling and going to conferences outside of our area. This was before conferences were big, but there were a few here and there. But once I started doing that and learning more of what I didn't know and the better way of going about doing things on so many different levels on the fire ground and within the firehouse, that started it started a major generational cultural shift in our organization, because it wasn't just me. It was me, a handful of other guys. Eventually, my brother got on the job. He got heavily into it, and day after day, year after year, of more people buying off into this, we started actually seeing a change. And if you go back and look at our organization, dating back 20 years, we can tell you benchmarks throughout that organization and things that they do now today. That's a direct reflection from the guys, not just myself, but other guys in the organization that got outside of their bubble. So here's the question that really needs to be asked: is what would have happened if we didn't do that, or any organization for that matter? I would propose that if we didn't do that, then they probably wouldn't see a lot of the changes. And when I say we, is a group of individuals, and I think that's a fair statement in any of the organizations. The organization I'm in now, the Midway Fire District, the culture is very similar to what it was in Fort Walton, and you walk through the doors and you're expected to go find out what you don't know. You're expected to go find out where you're wrong. You're expected to bring ideas back to the table. Job changes so much on a daily basis. It really does. Even more so now than it did, 30 plus years ago when I started, that it makes it even more important that you do that. And there's no question about it. I mean, it's going to make you a better rounded firefighter. It's going to make your organization better. And I'm speaking from my experience as a fire chief. This is what I cultivate and what I want, so that we can continue to move the needle in our organization to get better and to prepare for the next generation that's coming in. So to make a long story short, how valuable is it? Yeah, for me, it's probably one of the most important things we do organizationally and for a firefighter, such as my youngest, who is now beginning his career in the fire service. It's a non-negotiable with him. I mean, I still tell him that. He doesn't know that yet. But it's absolutely the changing agent. If I knew at 18 what he's going to know at 18, I would be a different firefighter now.
Oh, I say that so many times, Chief, and it's not my podcast, so I don't want to derail it. But I get excited for how the stuff that I dump on the recruits. I'm like, man, if I would have known that,
Sure.
15 years ago, I could have been so much better. What I did want to touch on for you as the fire chief is one of the things that you said is you try to bring into your organization outside training. So not only getting outside of your bubble, but Pearland also is very, very good about this down in Texas, is taking guys and bringing them in. So you're not relying on one guy, and I want you to touch on it, and you're not relying on a few guys to go out and grab something and bring it back, but you're saying, hey, instead of spending the money to send them out, let's just pay the guys to come in and then blanket teach the whole department. And obviously you think that's valuable because you talked about it at the table earlier. Why don't you just touch on that?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And one of the main reasons we do that is because all firefighters aren't programmed the same. Now, when I was younger, I used to get frustrated when guys didn't want to take advantage and go to conferences. Now, I'm older and wiser and realize that that's just not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I tell guys all the time, you don't have to be into the job and study it every minute of the day. What you have to be when you come to work is you have to give us 100%. That's it. And be into the job when you're at the job, because it matters. For those guys, most of them, they genuinely want to be good at the job, but they have other things that are important in life, and it just is not conducive to them to constantly travel. So what do? We bring it to them, and it just makes sense. We bring it to them so that they have access to it. Rarely do we run into an occasion where people don't appreciate it, because again, it is kind of the culture of our organization and the ones that we work with. You know, and the second half of that is that two of the things that are worth mentioning is you and I spoke on this a while ago, is that, you know, there's a strategy behind bringing people in, and that's to reinforce what we're doing. So we're very selective of who we bring in, because we don't want to bring somebody who's going to go off the cuff on something that's against what our operational or leadership philosophy is. However, I will say this to that you know, we work hard to know what we don't know. I've told guys this later in my career, is like, I'm intrigued to know when I'm wrong. Like, I really try to find out when I'm wrong, because I want things to be challenged, you know, and that brings up such good dialogue. It brings up a lot of conversation. It brings up good ideas, and it creates an atmosphere and a culture where the firefighters, they want to do that. They don't feel threatened if they question the status quo, or if they question what we do. And bringing outside instructors in, every time, no matter how long you've been doing this, you will listen to something and you will walk away going, wow, that's good. Why didn't I know that? I was at FDTN last week.
Yeah.
And I told Jim McCormick, you know, the owner of the facility, I said, Jim, I wish I would have found you 20 years ago, man. Like, geez, if I could have done this 20 years ago, what difference I could have been, you know, but you just don't know what you don't know, right?
I know.
So a big goal of mine at the last, you know, few years of my career is to do that with my organization, is to provide all those opportunities, and get the guys to take advantage of things that I didn't necessarily have when I was a younger firefighter, you know. So right or wrong, that's the way we do it, you know, in the Panhandle. So
Excellent. I mean, you know that I could talk to you and your brother all damn day, and but I wanted to keep this tight intentionally, with a singular focus. So we appreciate it. Maybe let's go have a drink and maybe continue this discussion a little further. But Chief, we appreciate you coming on and just sharing your thoughts on outside training. Thank you.
absolutely, brother. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Chief, we are joined by Chief DJ Stone out of South Walton. He is the training chief out of South Walton. Chief, I'm pulling people in for short clips, and I want to know, in your opinion, what is the value of any type of outside training, be it small conferences, Fools chapter meetings, all the way up to FDIC? Where is your value in getting outside of the bubble?
I don't know if it could be, that's the right terms, but overstated enough on how much value it's going to bring to your career. So I have two quick examples. Number one, here's an analogy that I use to tell people all the time. And I use it even in my organization as a training division chief. You can come to the training division and I'm going to feed you, right? But you're not going to get a wide diet of things, because I'm feeding you a certain subject matter, if you will, or a certain meal. And the analogy is this: I can eat cereal and milk every day, and I won't die, but I'll be unhealthy. So it's the same thing. If you only feast off of your organization's information and culture, you're not going to die. You're probably not going to be a terrible firefighter, but you're going to be malnourished, right?
Sure.
So in relation to that, I was lucky enough to be in the city of Fort Walton, where I started, with guys like my brother and other mentors who were enthusiastic about the job. I had the benefit of having that mentorship and that example over the years to steer me in the right direction. So in 2006, really the only things going on in the conference world was Orlando. I think Atlanta had just started up, FDIC, bigger conferences. But the internet was still relatively new, right? The conference thing is definitely new. And I'd seen some stuff about Orlando Fire Conference, and I mentioned it to my brother. Hey, have you ever been to this? And he's like, no, man, I've never been. I was like, cool, well, I'm thinking about going. You want to go? He's like, no, I can't make it. He's busy doing union stuff or whatever. At the time, I was like, well, I think I'm going to go, and I'm going to take a rookie firefighter, brand new guy, Steve Abbott, with me. And we're going to take another guy from Niceville Fire Department, Timmy Salee. He was another new on the job guy. These guys are as excited. I had about 6 years on the job at the time. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to drive down there. We didn't know anybody, nobody, nobody from Adams. So we go down there, and much like your story at CFT, that was my connection to, the world outside of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. although it was a good influence, I saw such a bigger picture. And when we went down to Orlando Fire Conference, before we got to know the Negley brothers and everybody else and JJ and just, all the guys running, Aaron Rhodes, all these dudes running this conference, they were the most friendly, open group of big city urban firefighters, right? We all sort of look up to that. You work in a relatively large department, larger city department. When you're coming from a small department, you look at urban departments as. And Orlando, for the state of Florida, is the FDNY of the South. I mean, anyone else disagrees with me, they're just not informed. Anyways, I'll offend somebody with that. But the point is, those dudes took us in and was just so gracious and accommodating. And then furthermore, sitting in the classes, it was hands-on, it was classroom, and then we went and did hands-on. All the instructors were just like, whoa, man, the depth of their experience and stories were incredible. Then we go out into the field, and they had, back in the day, they did all acquired structures. There was the Orange County, not Orange County, I'm going to get it wrong, but they have a regional training facility. They do some stuff in, but every year they would get acquired structures.
Impressive.
Well, yeah, and this year, it was some little houses in a neighborhood they acquired. And specifically, I took the RIT and the search day. We all took search day. Me, my new guy, the guy, we took search day. The people teaching the search were not circuit guys because there wasn't circuit guys in 2006. There was a couple, Mike Champo, and there's a few of these guys that do a lot of that. These weren't the guys teaching. It was the city of Orlando guys, specifically truck company guys, teaching the search class. So no big names at the time, no well-known people. Just these dudes from Orlando who loved the effort. They volunteered their time. They were really good at what they did, and they taught us search. Live smoke, the whole bit. But anyways, long story short, what I learned from that was, at least to my knowledge, I had never seen it done before. It's what people do. I don't know what people call it now, but it's basically a thigh drag where you throw the legs behind or over your shoulders, and you drag someone with your core body and legs to an exit. That's where I saw that. So there's hundreds of people that share variations of that. But I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure it was birthed out of Orlando City to some extent, because these guys were saying, we've been doing this for years.
Yes.
This is how we do it. And I was like, whoa, it completely changed how I moved victims, how I thought, because I'm a smaller frame guy and not in great shape. So I struggled, throughout my career, but it showed me how to use big muscles and showed me that it's okay to stand up in IDLH with your gear to keep the victim's head low, for your oriented guy to call you back to the exit. You don't need to see, like you could hear, there was so much nuance built in from these truck guys' experience that it was so impactful. As soon as I came back, I was like, told my brother, man, check this out. I learned this. I showed these, like, whoa, that's really cool. We just so happened to acquire a bunch of vacants in the city that we were going to do training on. 6-year guy, firefighter, never done any training before. I asked him, because brother was pretty much running most of our operational training stuff in our small department. And I said, man, what do you think? I want to, in the training, I want to do a part that has to do with this, moving, dragging patients. And they were showing us the technique to get them out of the window and such.
Sure.
He's like, yeah, man, go for it. And I did that. All that to say, and longer, that changed the way we searched, the way we moved victims since in the city of Fort Walton Beach.
That was in what year roughly?
2006. So to this
2006.
day, we're not even there. That is common practice. Not only for the Fort Walton Beach, I would say for the entire region of our area. So good ideas bleed out. Where do they come from? These things. They come from conferences, other people's knowledge, other people's experiences. So my short to long story is you can't put a value on that, and it lives way beyond what you're doing on the job. So I tell everybody, you have to get out of your bubble. Even the guys that are working with me in training division, one of my requirements is 1 conference a year. And by the way, we're paying for it. Just get out of here and go see something else. We don't know it all, and we're never going to know it all. And the other bonus for me is now in 2025, it's surreal, the things that I'm able to be a part of and to do and to teach and to share, and the connections I made through networking, through conferences, priceless. priceless. Like I just can't explain the value of that. So that's my story and the impact it's made on me.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really, really good stuff. Agree with all of it, but I'm gonna cap it. I'm not gonna expand. Chief, thank you for joining me again for the second time on the podcast. I don't have any. Corley gave his guys jackets when they hit like 5 times on. They has like a nice smoking jacket.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Your second appearance, I don't have anything for you, but thanks.
Maybe,
I'll work on it.
Maybe a sticker or something next time. We like stickers.
Yeah, I don't even have one of those. We'll get it done. We'll get it done. So, but anyway, I appreciate you joining me.
Thank
Chief.
you, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, we're joined by Mr. Brad Bennett out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Brad, thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you coming in real quick for just a little short clip here. I want to know from your perspective, what is the value of outside training, whether it be a small conference, a Fools conference, or a Fools training? Just what is the value of getting outside of your bubble from your perspective?
And that's a great question. It's as I think back on my career, the best opportunities I've been blessed with is from outside training. So immediately I think of, once we start getting educated in fire service, the reality is we're not as good as we think we are.
Oh, that's
and once you realize that, you become a better fireman. But the only way you can do that is get outside your bubble. Just learning from other people's mistakes, learning not shortcuts, but more efficient ways to do things on the fire ground. I know that we've probably made successful rescues. We've had successful fire ground operations because we've learned from people's mistakes. If we stay in our own bubble, and no matter where you work at, you think this is the only way to do it because that's the only thing we know. In my organization throughout the years, when we started sending guys out to training, we've changed so many tactics to be more efficient. H-Rock changed everything back in the day to our high-rise operations. We developed a very strong search culture from, firefighterrescuesurvey.com and all the guys that are out here pushing searches and stuff. So that's dropping the fire fatalities, making a huge impact on the fire service. We've changed hose and nozzle packages. We went from, water comes out of it. This is what we've always done. It works. We start testing all our stuff, and we're like, oh, my God, we're lucky we didn't kill somebody. But we didn't know what we didn't know. But we would have never known that if we'd not got out and got with experts and found out what other guys were doing and how do you go through this process? How do you evaluate this equipment? So it's so much more than just, going to training and hanging out at the bar, things like that. But there's value in that, the networking. If you'd asked me 10 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here doing a podcast with you. I've been blessed with so many opportunities, and it was because I met like-minded firemen. We hung out. Some of the best conversations I've had has been, hanging out at a hotel bar or in a class, and next thing you know, you're getting shoved into teaching and things like that. And, you get in opportunities where you don't feel like you're worthy of that. But these guys keep telling you, no, you've got something to offer. You've got something to offer. But that would have never happened to me if it wasn't for outside training. And I think it's just learning from other people's mistakes. So if we can learn from those other mistakes, we have mitigated bad calls because we knew about somebody else's failure. So we potentially saved lives in our district just because they identified their shortcomings in their district, and we paid attention, we learned, we took it back, we trained, and we were successful. So I think at the end of the day, that's the biggest benefit of it.
Yeah, excellent. So, Brad, I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
I know you, just like Todd,
Yeah.
are also got to go start
Got a long
humping
day tomorrow.
hose and
I'm excited.
start doing some stuff.
Yep.
I will not be out there
Yep.
with y'all. I'm going to take the easy route in the AC with
Hey.
the Stone Brothers.
With the Stone Brothers, you can't pass that up.
No, you can't pass on the Stone Brothers. But Brad, I appreciate you coming
Thank you
in
so
and
much.
just sharing your thoughts with
Yeah.
me. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
No problem. All right. We have with us, retired out of Atlanta, we got Todd Edwards with us. Todd, first of all, thank you for joining us. And I'm looking to find from the guys that are around here, what, in your opinion, is the value in any kind of outside training, whether it be small conferences, big conferences, Fools events, essentially just getting out of your bubble?
I think it was interesting to have this question posed because we have conversations all the time about outside training and and I was very fortunate, blessed that my father was my first fire chief, and at a very, very young age. And my first outside training, which was really strange, was FDIC. And this one, FDIC was in Cincinnati, so I'm kind of aging myself a little bit. But to go to that kind of event with your dad, and literally, I didn't even know, I didn't know anything about, I'd heard of it, and everybody talked about it. I didn't know anything about it, but that immediate exposure to that, that outside influences here. And I was in that bubble. I was in my four walls of my, combination department at a very young age. And I thought we knew everything and we did everything right. And then I was immediately exposed going, wow, we don't know a lot of stuff. And that was one of the reasons he wanted me, to his credit, wanted me to be exposed to other pins. And I literally have carried it through my entire life and career. And I want those exposures. One of my favorite things is to hear. I'm not a big war story guy, but I love hearing other guys' war stories. I love hearing the 2-station fire department that made 2 grabs last month, war stories. And it's just those outside things that you get going to, big conferences, small conferences, all the way around. And as time has obviously progressed, on the instructor side of that, and this was at I think we had a 40, 50 person event I was teaching at, and I was doing a program I do on working and rescuing and saving people with, cognitive disabilities, and a lot of focus on Down syndrome and autism. The class went on about probably 4 days after the program. I got home and I got an email, and 2 of the guys that were in the class had a grab of an autistic kid 2 days after that class. And they said they really keyed in because they were told the child was autistic, and they immediately keyed in because the parents said he hides, and they didn't look under the bed. They knew to look in other places from some of the training we do, and found him buried in the back of the closet, hiding in the corner.
That's
So I thought that was that's those outside things, the influences you can have, and you don't even have to be teaching how you can influence. I love hearing students' ideas and opinions, and we open up every hands-on with this is not my class, it's our class, and it's really cool to have that experience to hear guys and how much we learn, and every time we're teaching, but we're learning at the same time. So our learning experience at big and small conferences is so cool, and you just can't get that in your own station sometimes. It's great to hear and meet and talk to all these other guys, and just what you can learn from them.
You must have pulled that from Ike, because when I asked Ike yesterday, I told Ike yesterday, I was like, hey, it was your conference that really opened my eyes. And he goes, not my conference, it's our conference.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's some crossover there, but
Yeah, I think he stole that from me. So, he steals everything from me.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just something that we feel very strongly about, that it's what a value it is to be able to hear what other guys are doing, though. And you just can't get that if you're just sitting inside your little Ford station or just looking at Facebook. You get so much more with the one-on-ones, the face-to-face interactions, the good, the bad, the indifferent. It's just such a unique thing to get outside those, the 4 walls, get outside that bubble.
You mentioned something that I wanted you to touch on real quick. You said one of the more important things was networking. Do you want to kind of touch on that real quick?
Yeah, and one of the things I tell students a lot of times, especially at the bigger conferences, because 4 or 5 guys will travel together and they just kind of roam the conference the whole week in their little pack. And I'm always telling them, hey guys, go over there and talk to that guy, or go talk to others. So when I'm overseeing a hands-on program, I don't want to split them up on purpose, but I like them to be a little bit apart and bring different things and get different ideas. But it's such a value, and I think what's very unique, I think some guys are intimidated or they don't understand this. The biggest names in the fire service will hand you their personal phone numbers, their email addresses, and they want you to contact them. The Ray McCormicks, the Mike Champos, the Steve Robertsons, the Clyde Gordons. They want you to contact them. They don't have any issue about you shooting them an email and asking a question. But again, you get to the conference, sometimes they stay in their bubble. And when you can get them outside that bubble and they start interacting, with big city guys, small town guys, it's so cool to watch those guys really get into it after that.
Awesome. Unbelievable answer. I can expand on that, but I'm not. I'm going to keep it tight. I know you got to go do some hot classes, get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, we're getting ready for tomorrow.
So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
and we'll see you around.
Yeah, and thank you for finally introducing us to your wife. All right, bro.
And
I got you.
I think that there was something else I wanted to ask, but I don't know. Yeah. Do I look good on camera?
You look like shit no matter what.
That's facts. Okay. Fair enough.
That's
Fair enough.
It's being recorded right now, and I think I'm gonna leave all this stuff.
Oh, man.
All right. So, all right. We have with us Brett Price. Brett works for the same department as me. He also worked where he works in Broussard part time, where I also come from. And we bringing him in today. First of all, welcome.
Thank you.
We're bringing him in today because I want to know what your story is or your thoughts are on the importance of any type of outside training and getting outside of your bubble. So it could be a fool's conference, it could be a fool's training, it could be conferences small, conferences big. I want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, from what I know now, you don't know what you don't know. And back in, I believe it was 2023, I got sent to my first conference, which was here in Baton Rouge at Lyft. I wasn't that be all firefighter that everyone wants to try to be. I lost my way a lot, and then one guy backed out from the conference, and I got sent to it. And within that, one of my first classes I took was Chief Sam Sparacello and Chief Daniel Folks. And man, the enthusiasm that they had when they were teaching, it just blew me away. And I think that was like on day one. Then from them, my heart and like everything was just overwhelmed. I was like, wow, what is going on? I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah, sure.
And so for the rest of the conference, I was just go, like so stoked to learn everything. And, you know, once it was done, I really didn't want to leave. I said, man, this is amazing. I learned so much that I just didn't know. Cause like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And from that one conference brought me into a whole world I did not know existed. And I just dove straight into it from here on out. You know, we're in 2025 now, and it's opened up so many doors, you know, to being asked to be on the Fools Board. And, you know, now sitting on the train chair, learning so much more, learning all the big names in the fire service that I did not know existed. All these tactics that I would have never thought were there if it wasn't for that one conference.
Do you find yourself continuing to like try to go like, okay, what's the next conference I can get to, or what's the next thing I can kind of jump over? Or you get excited to see what's on the schedule coming up? Is that kind of?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, once you're intact, you're intact. You know what's going on in the fire service now, and you see where locally, maybe not locally, that they're holding symposiums, conferences. From that point, it just, like I said, dove straight down. I know all the podcasts now. You listen to them. It's the books that I was never a reader, but guess what? I started reading books now just to try to learn more about whatever it is that I want to learn now.
Yeah. Excellent. So I know that we could let you roll on this, and I know you could probably roll for a good long time on it.
Absolutely.
But look, we gotta go eat. The boys are fixing to leave you behind. Where are you going to eat, by the way?
I think we're going to Kate Street.
K Street.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a common one. Yeah. So we're gonna let you get out of here before they all leave you behind. But I appreciate you coming in and talk. I know that we share similar stories about our passion for outside training and kind of getting out the bubble. And yeah, thank you for coming in and kind of letting us know your thoughts on it.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
All right, later, man.
All right.
We are here with Chief Daniel Folks. Chief Folks is the chief of Hammond, Louisiana, where we are currently at with Small Town. So thank you for joining us for this little short period here.
Absolutely.
What we mostly want to talk about, Chief, or what I'm most curious about is when we talk about these conferences, outside trainings, whether it be a Fools chapter or whether it be a big conference, small conference, what is your view of getting outside of your bubble, and how has that potentially impacted your career? I want to hear your thoughts and your story.
So it's very important for firefighters to get outside of their bubble. You know, you get outside of the normal hustle and bustle, because we all know what happens inside of a firehouse, and a lot of times that's more of a compartmentalized situation. You know, what kind of did it for me was one year I got the opportunity for the first time to go to FDIC. I can't even remember what year it was, but it was several years ago. And I got to go to, we went up Sunday, so I got to go to the pre-conference workshops, and you know, I got to experience Ray McCormick and some of those guys who were actually teaching the hot classes that I went to, and it was just eye-opening the amount of training that's out there, you know, and it kind of hooked me a little bit. You know, I always started to want more, and you know, you go to the indoor pre-conference workshops where they're, you know, teaching about size up, and you know, man, I never really thought about it that way. So it really just broadens your viewpoint of how the fire service is, you know, from, you know, little small town Hammond, Louisiana to, hey, this is, you know, how things are done, but hey, this is how things are done across the world. Sometimes, you know, you get to sit next to people that are from New York or California or Oregon or wherever, even Canada, and sometimes even from, you know, across the pond. And they have such a different viewpoint than you have. And, you know, you just sit there and absorb it all. And it gets to that point to where you're like, you know, I just want more, and it becomes almost addictive. And so, you know, as I went through that whole week was just, you know, an assault on my, you know, fire senses, so to speak. And it really just, you know, caught the itch. You know, I've always been into, you know, outside training. I always wanted more certifications, wanted specialized certifications, things like that. But when you get outside of that, that's when the real stuff starts coming in. That's when, hey, you know, this is how we do search. This is how we do handline. This is how we do attack packages, things like that. And, you know, just listening to some of the speakers, you know, you sometimes kind of hold them up on a pedestal, you know, and you just listen to them like, you know, they're bringing the word, right? And it's
Fire church.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And you just dive off into it. And, you know, I got to go to FDIC a couple more times after that. And, you know, we saw the surge of the more regional conferences, and started going to Florida over there with Kirk a couple of times, well, several times actually, and kind of dove off into that same attitude, that same
Energy, maybe?
yeah, energy, atmosphere, you know. And it's not just the classes, it's the extracurricular, it's the after hours, it's, you know, sitting there having a drink with, you know, fellow firefighters with the same mindset as you. That's where the real training happens.
Let me ask you, one of the big things that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on my timeline, but one of the big things that you did in Hammond was switching over to, and I don't want to go long, I don't want this to turn into a full-on podcast, but you started auto-assigning search. That was you wrote an article about what was previous to you, and then a change that you had made as just a operational basis for how you operate. Was outside training the impetus for that? Was it like was that where the idea to make that switch over happen?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of outside influences. You know, just hearing different people teach classes about how important that is and how to put citizens first, and then trying to figure out, okay, well, we're in Hammond, Louisiana. We only have this amount of people. How can we do that? Well, yeah, we can do that. We can pull this off. You know, it's not something that we can't do just because we don't have, you know, FD&Y manpower. We can handle this kind of stuff. Really being able to dive off and bounce ideas off of other people, of similar, like-minded people. And that kind of, you know, just kind of morphed into where we're at today. And it's, you know, light years ahead of where we were. And I'm, you know, proud of it. And that's conferences, getting outside of your department, getting outside of the normal training environment, like certifications and things like that. That's where it's at, you know, and that brings those fresh ideas in. I also think it kind of freshens you up a little bit. It kind of gives you a shot. You know, it's kind of like when you kind of feeling down, you go to the doctor to give you a little steroid shot and you feel like $1 million. You know, that's kind of what conferences do for firefighters. You know, it gives them that opportunity.
Yeah, it was funny because I just had Sam talk, I don't know, probably an hour ago, and he said it recharged the battery. So it's like y'all are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you. I'm so glad and I just kind of want to cap this off by saying, you as a fire chief, right? You were operationally in control of the fire department.
that I'm so glad that you're plugged in. You're plugged into the Fools chapter. You're plugged into helping hold this, hold this conference, get all these outside guys in. You're bringing your rookies into these things to say, here, right from the beginning of your career, you're going to go see some guys that aren't the training officers from your own department, and it helps you make a better fire department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I love seeing that from you guys. I've said that multiple times previous, and I hope that at some point you'll come back and we'll have a long form conversation on all kind of stuff, fire department related. So if you're ever in Lafayette, come swing by and we'll have a face to face conversation. So
sounds good.
I appreciate you joining us, Chief. Thank you, man.
Sir. No problem.
So we're here with Matty B. Matt has already actually been a guest on the podcast previously. I don't remember what episode. I'm sorry, Matt. Maybe you remember?
No clue.
Wow. Shows you how much you love me. So
I don't remember the number.
So we're over here at Small Town, and I wanted to drag Matt in for one specific question, one specific thought, which is, Matt, what does outside training mean to you? Getting the importance of getting outside your bubble and just basically seeking fire department education outside of your world, outside of your department.
Yeah, so I think it's really all about perspective. So I was brought in. My first introduction to conferences was through my friend Brian, who took me to Small Town, the first iteration of Small Town, and from there my eyes were opened to the world of training and the different rabbit holes that you can go down, and then really the relationships that you can build with meeting guys like Sam, and then understanding the work that they're putting in to make these trainings and these conferences accessible to everyone. And once you go to one, you're really wide open. You see the other things that are going on. You learn about the podcast. You learn about the books and the different trainings and the Fools chapters, and everyone who's offering these trainings and trying to make it accessible. So I think the relationships there are really the benefit to getting outside of your department and outside of your bubble.
Do you think, and so with those relationships, do you think it gives you like, hey, you've got a guy that you find like, hey, he's the guy for whatever, whether it be, forcible entry, or he's the guy that does live burns and we're trying to live burn our department. Have you found that beneficial to be able to reach out to connect to those people? And
absolutely, you being one of them with the class you teach about search and how willing you were to answer my questions and make yourself available and then provide your class in general. So it's really beneficial in that sense that everyone is so willing to share their information and help each other out.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the brotherhood and you talk about trying to make the service better, we all kind of have the same mission. I've heard your mission with trying to get a better version of whatever you're trying to do at your department. And I knew it came from a place of a very good place that you just wanted to make it better. And it's so easy when I hear guys like you come and talk to go, dude, take everything. If I have it, if you think I have it, like absolutely take it, because I want to see you go and make your department better, make your community better, and all that stuff. So it's super easy. Matt, I appreciate you coming and talking real quick about training for us, man. Thank you,
sounds
brother.
good. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, see you soon. All right, so we're joined by Chief Sparacello, and we're once again still at the Small Town Jobtown Conference. And I wanted to pick your brain, Chief, on one specific topic, and that would be for you, what is the importance of outside training, whether it be a Fools chapter training, whether it be a conference, both big or small, of essentially just getting outside of your bubble? I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so my perspective has changed a lot in the last few years because I now have a three-dimensional view of training. First as a student, then as an instructor, and now as a facilitator for events and stuff like this now. So it kind of gives a very holistic view from all angles. Not only why this is so important, but what it takes to really put together training and put together people to have those impactful moments. And I've heard several examples of just speaking with people over the years. I know you've shared this before, and I myself have had similar experiences. It's like you said, what was that moment? What do you remember, as far as like you know, you were here and this happened, and it kind of put you on a completely different trajectory. So for me, you know, it's very hard for me to say this one particular moment, but to me, it's just the cumulative, you know, interactions at each one of these conferences. And like you say, you go to one of these events, and the beauty of it for me is the things that you wouldn't think would be so profound, right? It's something to where it makes it realistic for you. It makes it to where it hits close to home. And basically what it allows us to do for those people that have had those moments is to basically put things in perspective, right? And it keeps us humble, it keeps us honest, and it shows us truly how much depth there is to this job, right? It's so much more than what's on the surface. And, you know, I've sat through several presentations from the same people seeing the same program, and every time, you know, maybe the delivery's a little bit different. Maybe they've changed something, added something to the program. But that's what, to me, has always captivated me as a student, because, you know, we could sit here and put a tactic in a box. We could put a training topic in a box, but it's so much more dynamic than that. You know, we could do trainings, conferences, seminars every day from now until the end of existence. And while a lot of the information is the same, the way in which it's conveyed and hearing it from different voices who are further reiterating the points that you've already, you know, adapted as your own values, it just basically, for me, it says what you're doing is important. The reason for you attending this is important. And it's just a superior motivational tool, because, you know, I've heard this comparison made a lot of time. A lot of guys come to things like this just to simply recharge the batteries, right? It's there, right? But as we go through the trials and tribulations of the job and life and seasons and things like that, these are always a good thing for students. And I've felt this way as well, because it kind of gives you a fresh start, per se, right? It kind of just resets everything. And then, you know, guys come out of these events and stuff, and they're fired up again, right? So it's basically we're feeding that flame, you know, no pun intended, right? So
yeah, no doubt, all great stuff. Chief, I know your time is super valuable, because you're on probably what, 4 hours of sleep at this moment?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And we still got a whole night to do. So,
yes, sir.
I appreciate you joining us, giving your thoughts on outside training, and we'll see you. I'm sure you'll be back on the podcast at some point.
Yes,
This
sir.
is appearance number like 36 or something.
Yeah.
We only have 25 episodes, but you've been on 36 times.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's mathematically possible.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming out to the event, not only to share some of your knowledge and experience with the student base, but also to capture some of these interactions with everybody and let everybody tell a little bit of their story. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I love doing it. I truly love doing it. So thank you, Sam. Appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate you.
We have with us Chief Moore. We're honored that we're able to get face-to-face. We've seen each other a few times at different conferences passing through. But one of the things I wanted to pick your brain about within this super edit is I wanted to get your thoughts on, being that we're here at Small Town Jobtown, and you just got done wrapping up your Down and Dirty class. What is the importance to you of getting outside of your bubble and getting to outside training? And I just want to pick your brain on that.
Oh, great question. There's so many directions you can go with it, because there's so much. And I've heard your story, you've heard my story, and they're similar. I think one of the keys is silos, because you don't know you're in a silo when you're in a silo. And it's a version of Dunning-Kruger, like on an organizational level. And you don't know what you don't know, plain and simple. And to get to the role that outside training plays in that is so instrumental in taking those, I hate to say scales off your eyes, but to realize, oh, wait, there's a whole lot we don't know. I talked about it in the presentation today. I thought every fire department across the country had 5 persons on their rigs, because that's all I knew for 20 years, you know? And it was very shocking to me to find out, oh, you guys have 1 or 2. So again, you don't know what you don't know. That's probably the most important thing, is you can't grow when you don't know what you don't know. So the growth is there. But my personal story is the first time I heard Mark Von Oppen speak, and I always credit Mark Von Oppen with that eye-opening moment. But there's also Dave McGrail, because I saw Dave McGrail like years later. I saw the same presentation that I saw, and it reminded me. And I'm like, holy smokes, it was those two. One was fully involved leadership, Mark Von Oppen, the Big Four. He was the first person I ever heard say, you can be awesome at this job, kick ass at this job, and be proud of it. Everybody else was, I don't say everybody else, everything else I'd heard to that point was, it's just a job. I don't care about this job. It pays the same whether we go to fires or not. And you weren't allowed to be proud to do it. And when he said that, it sounds crazy to say now, but it blew my mind. And the same thing was Dave McGrail's Are You Into the Job, his class. And I did not realize how big an impact it had until I saw it again years later. And I was like, holy smokes, I've been saying that stuff that I stole from Dave. I learned from Dave years ago, and I had no idea how big of an impact it had.
Was that your big moment?
I'm sorry.
No,
Just
you're
talking.
fine. Was that your big moment into starting Firehouse Vigilance? That was it was one of the impetus that led to that road
Yes.
of developing it?
The one I remember specifically is Mark Von Oppen's blog on, I always say two things. One is Terry Scott, Chief Terry Scott, 37-year firefighter, battalion chief, retired out of Moore Fire Department. And at his retirement video, he told me I recorded the videos, and I said, is there anything you want to say to the guys? And one of the things he said was, the hardest fight you will ever fight is the fight against complacency. And that's his quote to me. And I'm sure other people said similar versions, but that hit me. And that's where the never ending fight against complacency came from. And Mark Von Oppen wrote the blog. Sorry. The classes smoked my,
You're fine. You're fine.
The, Mark Von Oppen wrote a blog, and in it, he basically said the number one weapon against complacency is vigilance. And that's where Firehouse Vigilance was born from, is those two sayings.
So to touch on that a little bit more, after going to those classes, did that fire you up to the point where you kind of, I don't want to say became obsessed with it, I don't want to put those words, but did you like consistently seeking that outside training? Did you continue down that
I went
path?
on. Yeah, if you talk to Amanda and hear, like, again, my memory's so bad, I don't remember a lot of this. We were talking about it last night at dinner with some friends, how many conferences I went to that next year, which I think was, I want to say it was like 2019. I went to everything we could go to. My kids were adults, and so I wasn't missing Little League games. And it was a very unique time in my life where I had a lot of freedom. And I took full advantage, and I went to everything I could get a hold of. It was, yeah. And I made so many connections. And at the same time, I didn't know, the podcast wasn't a thing yet. It was started in 2019, but it was late in 2019, and it was 2020 when I think the first episodes were December of 2019. So yeah, without deep diving in the weeds, but no, at first I wanted to have the impact on other people that Mark Von Oppen had on me. That was the initial thing I wanted. I didn't know what that was. I just wanted other people to have that mind-blowing moment that this is the greatest job on earth. People say it all the time, but when you actually connect to that, and it's powerful. And I wanted other people to feel that.
Yes.
And so I didn't know what that looked like. So I tried everything, and the podcast is the vehicle that got traction.
Excellent. Well, Chief, I know you have a quick turnaround this afternoon. I know you're literally going to be boarding up a plane here in the next little bit, but I appreciate you stopping in to talk about just that little piece. And maybe one day we'll sit down for we'll get a full episode with full on thoughts.
I am looking forward to it. I really am.
Same here. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.